Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Shall we start?
Yes, ma'am.
So what is the assignment I have given you all in the last class? Can one of you tell me? Can you see? Please answer. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
can see the presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Now it's visible.
Okay. So what are the questions I have given you all in the previous class? Can one of you read it out? I have given you all some questions, I think so, no? Have I given you all anything? Please answer. Answer, huh? Ayo, nobody's answering. Aditi? What is the work I have given you all in the last class? Can all of you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I don't think that you have given
Ma'am,
any homework.
Ma'am, last class you didn't give any
last
homework,
class.
ma'am. Ma'am, you told that in the next class
Previous
we'll
class
start
you gave us, ma'am, but
excretory
last
system,
class
ma'am.
not yet.
Okay, then.
You said that you will teach a excretory system.
Okay. So you have gone through the circulatory system, all of you? Have you gone through the circulatory system? One of you answer, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts you have?
Ma'am, what is homeostasis, ma'am?
Homeostasis means maintaining of the body temperature.
Okay, ma'am.
Any doubts you have? Okay, today we are starting with the excretory system. So this is the excretory system is the most important question, 5 marks question you will be getting in your board exam. And they number of times it was asked to draw the excretory system and label the parts properly. Please draw in this way. All of you, please copy down the diagram. I'll give you all 2 minutes. And also copy the parts properly. When you finish, please let me know, all of you.
Mom, we should draw the diagram.
Yes, please, you copy this diagram. Why I'm telling is, this is the most important diagram. And when they ask you, please draw in this manner.
Okay, mom.
So I'll be explaining once, please listen. So the human excretory system, these are the parts present in the human excretory system. It has 2 kidneys, or we can call it as a pair of kidneys, which are bean shaped. Next, ureters. 1 minute, here is my pointer. So next, ureters, which are again a 2 pair of ureter are present, coming from the both the sides, and 1 urinary bladder and 1 urethra. So please don't be confused with ureters and urethra. So as you can see, they are in the figure, there are 2 kidneys. One which is present in the right side is known as right kidney and left as a left kidney. They are usually in a bean shape, and connecting these kidneys are the 2 ureters. Again, they are called as right ureter and left ureter, and the both of them get connected to the urinary bladder. So the ureters are the connecting link from the kidneys to the urinary bladder. Means whatever the urine which is formed in the kidneys will be brought to the urinary bladder by these 2 tubes which are present on the right side and the left side. So both of them start from the kidneys. Right one starts from the right kidney, left one starts from the left kidney, and both of them commonly end into a bladder, that is urinary bladder. So only single urinary bladder is present, and this is the storage place for urine. Urine is stored in this urinary bladder, and from the urinary bladder, the urine is excreted out through the urethra. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
So now this is the summary. Now we'll talk in detail about the each and every part. So you can see here itself, I have explained you, this is more than enough when they ask you to write about the different parts. So how they give you the answer is, they ask you to draw the diagram, label some parts, and also give explanation about those parts, 2 or 3 lines. That is the most commonly asked question. So I have given you at the bottom itself, whatever I have given, it's more than enough for your examination point of view. So kidneys, what are they? As I told you, they are bean shaped, reddish brown in color. So right one is slightly lower to that of the left one, means they are not present in a equal scale or equal margin. So right one is completely lower to that of the, you can see in the figure also. The right side one is completely lower to the left side one. Okay. So they means they are metanephric retroperitoneal in position. This you know not required. And the origin is mesodermal in origin. What is mesodermal means? We have two layers in the three layers in the embryo: ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm. Kidneys have originated from the mesoderm. This is for your understanding only. Okay. Next one, urethra. So these are the narrow tube-like structures opening into the urinary bladder and pour the urine into it. And they are composed of an epithelium known as transitional epithelium. Next, we'll be talking about the urinary bladder. Urinary bladder is a reservoir of the urine. It is present in the pelvic cavity. Its lower lining is composed of transitional epithelium. Next, urethra. It's a canal-like structure which opens to the exterior, means to the exterior environment by urethral orifice. The opening is known as urethral orifice. This opening is known as urethral orifice. It's much longer in the males compared to that of the females. In addition to it, we also have two things which bring the blood and carry all the blood away from the kidneys. So aorta is the one which brings the oxygenated blood to the kidneys, whereas inferior vena cava carries the deoxygenated blood from the kidneys. This we have studied in the circulatory system itself. So how does the process of excretion takes place? So the renal artery, what it will do, I'm just telling you how it takes place. The renal arteries brings the blood containing the waste substance to the kidneys. And kidneys filter this blood. During the process of filtration, urine is produced in the kidneys, which passes to the ureters in a urinary bladder, where it is stored until it's released into the urethra. Okay, this is how the process takes place. So which brings the unfiltered blood to the kidneys? It is the renal arteries. So the renal arteries brings the blood containing the waste substance to the kidneys. That blood is filtered in the kidneys. During the process of filtration, or the waste is removed and excreted, and the urine is formed. Whatever the urine which is formed in the kidneys will be passing to the urethra, to the urinary bladder, and it will be excreted out by a urethra. So what is the main function of the kidney? So the main function of the kidney is to remove the waste products from the blood. What are the waste products? Example, urea. Urea is one of the waste products which is mainly produced by the liver. And this urea should be removed from the blood. If that waste product is present in our blood, it gets toxicated and it may be harmful to it. So it should be removed from the blood. So these are the one of the products, urea. There are many other things like which we will be discussing later. So urea is one of the waste products that should be removed from the blood. That is the function of the kidneys. So the kidneys are made up of by millions of small units known as nephrons. For lungs, what are the structural and functional unit?
Alveoli.
And for the kidneys, it is nephrons.
Nephron.
Okay. Structural and functional unit of the kidney is nephron. Okay. It is many million. Each kidney has millions of these nephrons. And this is the place where actual filtration and formation of urine takes place. So we'll see how the basic structure of the nephron is present. And again, this is also very important 5 marks question. Okay, first we will see the structure of the nephron. Then I'll explain you how all these nephrons will be fitted into the kidney, and finally the urine is collectively from the kidneys enters to the urethras and urinary bladder. Okay. So coming to the nephron, what is a nephron? Nephron is the structural and functional unit of the kidney, and this nephron consists of two parts. One is renal tubule and one is renal corpuscles. So this part, till this part is known as renal corpuscles. Whereas wherever you can see the tubes, all these tubes are known as the renal tubules. So if we divide the nephron into two major parts, we get as renal corpuscles and renal tubule. So whatever I have encircled, that is known as the renal corpuscles. Next, coming to the remaining all this part, forget about the red one. The remaining part is known as the renal tubule. So first coming to the renal corpuscle. Okay. If we go in detail with the renal corpuscles, you can see here, I'm again drawing for you all to understand. It is like a cup-shaped structure. It is like a cup-shaped or C-shaped structure. So inside this renal corpuscles, this is known as glomerulus. The red thing, whatever you are seeing, no. So I'll draw with a different color so that you'll understand. This whatever I'm drawing with the blue color is known as glomerulus. Okay, this one is known as glomerulus. Whereas the part which is surrounding this glomerulus is known as the Bowens capsule. You are able to understand? The part that is surrounding the glomerulus is known as Bowens capsule. So what this glomerulus contains, you can see a network. You can see a network. So glomerulus contains efferent and efferent arteries. What they contain? Efferent and efferent arteries. So what is its main function is efferent arteries. So this is efferent artery. So efferent arteries bring in the blood which is containing the waste material. Whereas efferent arteries removes the blood or removes the filter blood away from the kidneys. Away from the nephrons. So here is the mesh or network. Okay. So the efferent arteries bring in the blood which need to be filtered or the blood which is containing the waste materials inside to the near to the Bowens capsule. Whereas efferent arteries removes the blood or takes the blood away from or the filtered blood away from the nephrons. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
You are able to understand?
Yes,
Any doubts still here? Any doubts?
No doubts, ma'am.
Okay. Next, let us see the parts of the renal tubule. So what is the main function of this Bowman's capsule is filtration. It filters all the whatever the blood which is filtered or waste material or whatever the filtered one will be entering into the renal tubules. So there will be a filtration taking place and absorption also taking place. So the liquid only will be entering into the inside this renal tubules. So now coming to the renal tubules. So renal tubules again can be divided into three parts. The first part, this is called, so from here, you forget about the red one. You only come to the, I'll show you again. I'll draw a diagram and show you all. So after from Bowen's capsule,
renal tubule carries the waste materials, ma'am.
yes, means whatever the filtered one is there, no?
Yes, ma'am.
The filtered liquid will be entering into the renal tubule.
Okay, ma'am.
We'll see how the means urine should be formed, no? How the process of
Yes,
urine
ma'am.
will be formed, we'll see in the next slide. First, we'll see the structure.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So now the filtered unit, the Bowen's capsule will be extended into the renal tube. So you can also see in the picture a U-shaped tube. Sorry, it's going somewhere. So you can see also in the picture, a U-shaped tube is formed. I'm only drawing one line. So the first part, this part is known as the, this part is known as the PCT or proximal convoluting tubule. This is the first part of the renal tubule. 1 minute. So this is the first part of the renal tubule. This part is known as the proximal convoluting tubule. Whereas the U2, a U-shaped tube, is known as Helen's loop or loop of Helen. The U-shaped tube is the second part. It is known as the Helen's loop or loop of Helen. So the Helen's loop is in a form of a U shape, you can see. So one loop is going down, one loop is going up. Okay. So the loop which is going down is known as the descending loop. So this one is known as the descending loop. And where one which is going up is known as the ascending loop. Okay. So this is the second part. Now the third part is known as the distal convoluting tubule. So this part, finally, this is the third part. This part is known as the distal convoluting tubule. Next, all these parts, means the distal convoluting tubule will be finally ending into a collecting duct. So all the nephrons, distinct collecting tubule will be finally ending into a collecting duct. The long one is known as the collecting duct. Hope you understood. Again, once again, I am repeating. The renal tubule is divided into the three parts. Okay. The first part, this is known as the first part. This is known as proximal convoluting tubule or PCT. The second part is known as the Helen's loop, and it is again divided into descending Helen loop and ascending Helen loop. Whereas this part, the third part, is known as the distal convoluting tubule or DCT. So this distal convoluting tubule will be ending into a long tube known as the collecting duct. So what is a collecting duct is? Collecting duct is a long straight tube where mainly H+ and K+ ions are secreted to maintain the electrolytic balance of the blood. So this is also the region where the maximum reabsorption of water takes place here. So here mainly the reabsorption of water takes place in this collecting duct. This will be seeing in detail in the next slide how the reabsorption of water and secretions of H+ and K+ ion takes place. So this is the overall structure of the nephron. And this is one of the most important questions. You need to draw the diagram I'll explain you what is this vasorectia in the next slide. First, the basics. This is the basic structure of the nephron. Hope you understood. Any doubts?
No doubts, ma'am.
No doubt, ma'am.
Can I move on?
Yes, ma'am.
Next, coming to the how the urine is formed. So urine is formed in 3 steps. We can call the first step as glomerular filtration, second step as the tubular reabsorption, and third step is known as tubular secretion. Okay, so you can see the arrows. So this is how the urine will be forming. So the yellow one is the complete nephron, whereas the red one is the extended efferent arteriole. Okay, this efferent arteriole will be taking the blood, the purified blood, back to the from the kidneys to back to the tissues. But the blood will be when the filtration is taking place, even the glucose, amino acids, most of them also enters into the kidneys. That should be reabsorbed back to the blood because those are essential for the body. So what happens is, this is a red one is nothing but the extinction of this efferent arteriole, and we call it as vasorectia. You can see over here. So vasorectia, that is the extended efferent arteriole, will be present around this nephron. Okay, so it will be carrying the clean blood or filtered blood back to the tissues. So, but it will be present around the nephron. Why it is present around the nephron is now what will be studied. So once you can see over here, the dirty blood will be brought to the glomerulus, and here will be the filtration taking place. So I'll put small dots for your understanding. So you think this is the filtered substance. So all the waste will be filtered. It's like now you take a sand and water and you put into a cloth. What will come out? If you keep a sand, mix a sand and water, what will come out? And I ask you to filter
Water, ma'am.
water.
What
It's the
will
same.
come?
The process is not like similar, but for your understanding, I'm telling. So what will happen here is, so all the waste materials or any other materials which are present in the blood will be staying back in the glomerulus, whereas the filtered blood will be entering into the efferent artery. Okay, the clean blood will be entering into the efferent. So these waste substances now will be diffusing from the glomerulus and enter into the Bowman's capsule into the renal tube along with water. Understood? Along with lots of water. And this process is known as glomerular filtration. Around 180 liters of glomerular filtration will be formed per the rate, and this is known as glomerular filtration rate. It's in your textbooks also, so you need to know it. I forgot to write over here. About 180 liters of filtration will be taking place, and this is known as glomerular filtration or rate per day, for 24 hours. Okay, so now once this filter, now it will be containing not only the nitrogenous waste like urea and many other things, salts and all those things, but it will also be containing glucose, amino acids, and many other things are present which are essential to the body. So once it enters into it, now the second step will be tubular reabsorption. So whatever which are essential to our body, That is, water is very essential. Completely water is gone out through urine means again our electrolytic balance will not be maintained in the body. Electrolytic balance should be maintained, right? So water should be reabsorbed. Even the glucose, amino acids, and ions also which are required need to be from the filtrated unit. It should be transported back to the blood. So this process is known as tubular reabsorption. So by a simple process of diffusion, so from these tubules, from the PCT tubules, the glucose, amino acids, salts, and water will be entering back into the capillaries, that is to the vasa recta. Understood? Are you able to understand? Are you able to understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So in the PCT area, that is the first part of the renal tubule, glucose, amino acids, some salts which are required, and also the water is absorbed. Whereas in Helen's loop, only mostly water only is reabsorbed. Okay, and whereas
Can you repeat
here,
again what you said?
Esma,
Can you repeat again what you said?
in Helen's loop, only mostly water is reabsorbed.
Ma'am, and in PCT?
What, ma? I'm not able to hear you.
Ma'am,
Again,
and what about PCT, ma'am?
PCT, water, glucose, amino acids, salts, etc. reabsorbed.
Okay, ma'am.
And in Helen's loop, mostly water is reabsorbed.
Okay, ma'am.
Next, in distal convoluting tubules, or DCT region, salts like Na plus, K plus are reabsorbed. Okay, you are able to understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Next, in the collecting duct, mostly only water is reabsorbed. Okay. Next comes the third one, that is tubular secretion. So in tubular secretion, why it happens? It is mostly happens in the near the distal convoluting tubule. To maintain the electrolytic balance, some of the things which are reabsorbed should be given back to the filtrate. Means from here we need to take back some of the things or from the surrounding areas to maintain the balance or pH of our urine or anything, or to maintain our electrolytic balance, or from the surrounding area as well. So whatever sodium, potassium, sodium not potassium, hydrogen or protons we call them as, creatines, and some drugs are secreted back to the filtrate along with urea. This is known as tubular secretion. It happens mostly at the DCT region only. So any small drugs or creatines, potassiums are reabsorbed or secreted. We cannot call it as absorption or reabsorption. We call it as secretion, are secreted back to the filtrate from this area. Once they are secreted back, now the filter enters into the collecting tubule. In the collecting tubules, only water is reabsorbed. Urea or nothing is reabsorbed. and finally the urine will be formed and it will be entering into the collecting tubule. Once the urine enters into the collecting tubule, now collecting tubule is common for all the nephrons. So you think this is one nephron outlet, this is another nephron outlet, this is another nephron outlet. And as I told you, the kidney is made up of millions of nephrons. So if you see, this is the so if you see, now this kidney, if this is the kidney, this collecting tubule, a single collecting tubule will be formed. Not all this will be uniting to form into a single outlet, and from here it enters into urethus. So this is how the urine which is formed will be taken to the urethus, to the urinary bladder, and to the urethra. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts?
No doubt, ma'am.
All of you are able to understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So, as I told you, glomerular filtration rate is a filtrate formed per minute by the glomerulus of the nephrons in the kidneys. So, in a healthy person, the GFR, we call it as glomerular filtration rate, is 125 ml per minute, which makes up to 7.5 liters per hour and 180 liters per day, per 24 hours. And this is one of the most important 1-mark question. So for your understanding, I have kept you in a flow chart. It's not required, but for your simple understanding, I have kept in a flow chart how the excretion takes place. So the blood which is filled with the waste material first enters into the dorsal aorta. From the dorsal aorta, it enters into the renal artery. From the renal artery, it enters into the efferent arteriole. Through it, it enters into the nephron, that is the glomerulus. From glomerulus, it enters into the Bowens capsule. Meanwhile, the unfiltered blood will be entering into the, the clean blood will be entering into the efferent arterioles. From the Bowens capsule, the primary urine will be formed. It enters into the PCT, loop of Helen, distal convoluting tubules, and collecting ducts. So in the process, water, glucose, amino acids, salts will be re-entering back into the vasa rectia or the peritubular capillaries, and finally it will be entering into the renal vein and enters into the clean blood will be entering into the tissues. Whereas from the collecting duct, the urine will be first entering into a part known as pyramids, which is present in the kidneys, pelvis, and from pelvis into the urethra and urinary bladder, urethra, and finally into the external environment. Only once they have asked you this question as a 5 marks answer, only once. Please copy down. You have any doubts? Okay. Thanks. Any doubts are there? Shall I move on?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh? So now coming to the dialysis. So what is dialysis is when a person, there is a complete kidney failure, when both the kidneys are not performing, is completely damaged. We have developed a new treatment or a system known as, or artificial kidney, we call it as dialysis. So what it happens is, by artificial methods, by mechanical methods, we try to remove the waste which is
Ma'am, can you
present
repeat
in that person's blood by a mechanical way. Okay, and this process is known as dialysis. You can see in the picture over here. So the blood which will,
Ma'am, can you repeat again, ma'am?
what, ma?
Ma'am, I got disconnected, ma'am. Can you repeat again?
I'll explain you, 1 minute.
Okay, ma'am.
So what is the concept of dialysis is, if one kidney is damaged or removed, but I say both the kidneys are damaged, if when we are not able to complete, when our body is not completely able to remove the nitrogenous waste or anything, what will happen is, like waste materials like urea, creatine will be building up in a body. Okay, once they get built up in the body, it will be affecting the other organs also, because those are toxic substances that continuously should be removed from the body. So for such a patients, we are trying to do we'll do dialysis. Usually dialysis is called as an artificial kidney. So how the mechanism takes place. So this dialysis machines or artificial machines contains tubes made up of cellophane with a semi-permeable line. So the tubes are suspended in a tank filled with dialysis solution. You can see over here in the previous picture. So they are filled in a tank. The tubes are filled in kept in a tank containing dialysis solution. That is nothing but water and a glucose concentration similar to the blood. Now the patient bled from the radial artery is cooled to 0 degrees and it is mixed with anticoagulant heparin, because the blood should not be clotting, it should be flowing. Okay, they are mixed with anticoagulants, that is heparin. Now the blood is then passed through the semi-permeable coil cellophane tubes, which allow the small molecules such as urea, creatine, and uric acid to be passed out. You can see. So as the blood is passing through it, now any urea, creatine, everything will be passed out. Okay. So now, as the metabolic waste are filtered into the surrounding solution, but the macromolecules such as proteins are retained, because the semi-permeable membrane pores are very small. Only urea, creatine, and uric acid will be passing through those pores, whereas macromolecules like lipids, proteins will be retained in the blood itself. Okay, now the purified blood is mixed with the antiheparin and warmed to the body temperature. The purified blood is returned to the veins in the same arm. The function of the dialysis is similar to that of the kidney, but the only difference here is no reabsorption takes place. Only filtration takes place. That is, removal of waste materials only takes place, but reabsorptions does not take place. Whatever is present in the blood will be filtered out. And from the filtrate, what happens in the normal kidney? If the filtrate is containing glucose or amino acids, they can reabsorb back into the arteries. Am I right? But here that does not happen. The tubular reabsorption does not take place. Only the filtration takes place. So this is the setup. So here they will be given heparin so that no clotting takes place. Once the blood is coming back again to the arm, anti-heparin will be given. Because why anti-heparin is given is, if the heparin stays in the blood, if that patient is suffering with any injury in the later stages or anything, the blood does not clot. If it does not clot, means again there will be a loss of blood. So anti-heparin is given here as the blood returns back to the body. So here only the filtration takes place. No tubular reabsorption takes place. Understood? So he coming to the mission, the used dialysis unit will be coming out from the one outlet, whereas the fresh one will be going on through the another outlet. So this is about the complete dialysis. Any doubts you have?
No, ma'am.
So with this, almost we have completed this chapter. The last part is excretion in the plants. So how does the excretion take place? This I think all of you know. You need to tell me now. What are the different excreted products in plants?
Oxygen.
Yes, oxygen through what? Oxygen through water, it will be released outside. Oxygen through stomata. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Next any more? Water by transpiration. Okay. And also plants will be excreting some waste product. The waste products which are very much the waste product which are waste products to the plants are most economical products for us human beings, like gums, resins, which are excreted out of the plant through xylem. Few plants excrete these out through their barks or from the old xylems, like gums and resins. If you have gone through, anybody have seen a rubber tree and gone to it, near it? No? Okay. So what is you see the video if you can. Okay. How they extract rubber from the rubber tree. Actually, they cut the tree and put a bucket near it. So whatever the resin which is coming out from the barks or from the trunk of the tree will be collected. So those are the excretory products of the plants. So those also can be considered as the waste product or excretory products of the plant, where the plant excrete these products through the whole xylem. Some of the waste products are also excreted into the surrounding soil. So this is about the excretion in the plants. So any doubts you have in this complete lesson? With this, the life process lesson have been completed. Do you have any doubts? Please, all of you open your textbooks. Open your textbooks. Have you opened them?
Yes, ma'am.
So let us discuss the questions first in the textbook. Why is diffusion insufficient to meet the oxygen requirements of the multi-organ cellular organisms like humans. Why?
Ma'am, shall I say, ma'am?
Yeah, please say, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, in multicellular organisms, all the cells may not be in direct contact with the surrounding environment, ma'am. So the simple diffusion will cannot take place. And in unicellular organism, since because there is only one cell, it can diffuse the oxygen, ma'am.
Yes, true. So you can see in this page, in multicellular organisms, please mark the answer. You can see in the page number 94, where I have highlighted it. Please mark the answer. In multicellular organisms, all the cell may not be in direct contact with the surrounding environment. That's why simple diffusion will not be meeting the requirements of the cell. What criteria do we use to decide whether something is alive? What are the criteria we give?
And movement of the object.
Movement? Any more?
Ma'am,
Reproduction? Breathing in and breathing out. All these are considered to say that something is alive. Okay. What are the outside raw materials used by an organism? Can you tell? Anybody? All is there in this paragraph itself.
Oxygen, ma'am.
Oxygen, yes, true.
Food, ma'am.
Food. It's in this
Water.
paragraph. You can underline over here. Nutrition or food, oxygen, all are the raw materials we depend on, or nutrients we call it as, depend on the environment by any organism. What process would you consider essential for maintaining life? What you consider as a main essential process?
Life processes.
Life processes, true. All processes are very important. Okay? Understood? Have you marked the questions, all of you?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Next, we have finished these activities. Now we'll go to the next box. What is difference between autotrophic and heterotrophic nutrition? I think so all of you know about it. We have discussed in the
Ma'am, you are in
slides.
which page, ma'am?
Huh?
Ma'am, you are in which page?
101. In
Okay,
mine,
ma'am.
it's showing 101. So what is the difference between autotrophic and heterotrophic nutrition? Autotrophic means they want those which can prepare their own food and or use light and chemical energy for the preparation of the food. Those are known as autotrophs, and such nutrition is known as autotrophic nutrition. Example, green plants and some algae, that is blue-green algae. Whereas heterotrophic nutrition are those which depend on the other for their food. Examples, all eukaryotes. Where do plants get each of the raw materials required for their photosynthesis? Where do they get? Please tell me.
Ma'am, they get
outside environment, ma'am.
Huh?
and what?
Ma'am, from the outside environment, ma'am, like
From
air
where?
and
From
soil.
soil and air.
Air and soil.
From water, from
Ma'am, water
from
is from
soil
soil,
and,
ma'am, and CO2
carbon
from
dioxide
air.
from air.
CO2 from the
Air,
surrounding
ma'am.
environment. And also please write additional points like they take the carbon dioxide through stomata and water is comes through through the roots. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Please write down there itself, because those are generalized questions. You need to write down your own. What is the role of acid in your stomach?
To provide acidic medium for pepsin to act on.
In addition,
Kill the microorganisms.
creates the, you can see here, it provides the acidic medium which facilitates the action of the enzyme pepsin, and also it kills the microorganisms present in the food. Please add that line. I have highlighted it. Have you underlined?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
How is the small intestine designed to absorb digested food? Sorry, I'll tell you. Okay, first we'll finish off this question. How is the small intestine designed to absorb digested food? Here, this is the question. The digested food is taken up by the walls of the intestine. The inner linings of the small intestine have a finger-like positions which increase the surface area of absorption. The villi are richly supplied with blood, which takes the absorbed food to each and every cell of the body, where they will be utilized for obtaining tissues and all this. Please underline. Next one. What is the function of these digestive enzymes? The function of the digestive enzyme is to break the complex food materials into simpler substances. Examples, you're writing it down. You're writing it down.
Ma'am, can you repeat, ma'am?
Digestive enzymes, the function of digestive enzymes is to break down or convert complex molecules like proteins, fat, lipids, and carbohydrates into simple substances like amino acids, fatty acids, and simple sugars. Okay. Now coming to the dental caries. I did not told you all this in the presentation. It was missed out in the presentation, but this is also very important. So what is dental caries means, or we call it as dental plaque also. Okay. What it is means softening of our enamel and the dentin. The upper layer of the teeth are known as the, or the tooth is known as the enamel. So it will be damaging the enamel, and also the inside of the enamel, we call it as dentin. That also will be damaged. When the damage happens or decay happens, we call it as dental caries. Or initially we call how it first a dental plaque is formed. From the dental plaque we get the dental caries. So what will happening? Some people say we have a if any of your parents or anybody has said we have a lot of tooth pain or some nerves are being paining or anything, we need to do a root canal or anything like that. This is because there a damage has been formed. Means completely the tooth has been completely damaged and small holes are formed. Due to that, the nerves will be exposed outside. If this is the tooth, 1 minute, I'll draw for you. You think this is the tooth. Okay, the outer part is known as the enamel. Inner part will be known as dentin or pulp, and also there will be lot of blood vessels inside the tooth. So what will happen? Dental caries means a hole will be formed. Small holes may be formed or small damage may be formed. Due to that, the blood vessels will be exposed outside and will have a very bad tooth pain, and it will be damaging to our tooth also. Sometimes the tooth need to be removed out also. Why it happens is because of presence of lot of bacterial cells. Okay, the bacteria will be covering this tooth area. Okay, so when we don't brush our teeth, what will we go on building? If we don't brush our teeth properly, or it will be go on building, the bacteria will be building on our teeth and slowly it will be producing lot of acid because we take lot of carbohydrates. This bacteria, what it will do from this carbohydrates, it will be producing acid because it need to survive itself. No, it also will be depending on the food we take in, and our food contains lot of carbohydrates, like a lot of sweets or chocolates or whatever it is what we take. Okay, due to that acid is produced, and this acid will be damaging our tooth, and we call it as a dental caries. So only we need to brush our teeth properly every day to remove these bacteria or prevent it from forming any plaque. Okay, so if it's untreated, it will lead to a lot of inflammation and infection, finally leads to dental caries, or we call it as tooth decay. Understood? And this is one of the most 3 marks question. So coming to the next box, page number 105. Please turn to page number 105. Shall I start?
Yes, ma'am.
What advantages over an aquatic organism does a terrestrial organism have with regard to obtaining oxygen for respiration? Can you tell?
Ma'am, the amount of dissolved oxygen is low in water as compared to air, ma'am. So the rate of breathing in aquatic organism is faster than the terrestrial organisms, ma'am.
Yes. So it's in the page number 103. The amount of dissolved oxygen is fairly low compared to the amount of oxygen in the rate. So the rate of breathing in aquatic organisms is faster than compared to the terrestrial organisms. Fish take in the water through the mouth and pass it to the gills, where the dissolved oxygen is taken up by the blood. Have you seen it? I have given a mark. It may
Yes,
vary, the page numbers may vary. 103. Please respond. Nobody is responding much.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
What are the different ways in which glucose is oxidized to provide energy in various organisms? Where is this question? I'll ask now the participants. My participants, who are there? I should remember your names. Only 7 are there. Remaining left already. Akshita,
Yes, ma'am.
can you tell where it is?
1 minute, ma'am.
Page number 102. This is the answer for that question. Okay, let me finish it off first. How is oxygen and carbon dioxide transported in human beings? Please, this is the answer in page number 104. When the body size of the animals is large, diffusion pressure alone cannot take care of oxygen delivery to all the parts of the plant. Instead, respiratory pigment, you can please add over here hemoglobin, takes up the oxygen from the air in the lungs and carries to the tissues which are deficient in oxygen before it releases it. In human beings, the respiratory pigment have a higher affinity for the oxygen. The pigment present in the red blood corpuscle is present in the red blood corpuscles. Carbon dioxide is more soluble in the water than oxygen, hence it is transported in dissolved form in our blood. So this is the answer for that question. Third one. How are the lungs designed in the human beings to maximize the air for the exchange of gases? Page number 103.
Ma'am, it is page 104 now, ma'am. The alveoli provide a surface where the exchange of gases can take place. Ma'am, first para, third line, ma'am.
No, ma, lungs are designed to maximize the area of exchange of gases. So we should combine the question. Means the lungs are made up of alveoli, okay, where they have an exchange of gases, and also you should find the surfaces are very fine and delicate for an easy diffusion of oxygen and carbon dioxide, so that maximum exchange of gases takes place. Okay, you need to combine and write it.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. So, okay, this box is over, I think so. Shall I move on to the next one? In between, who are the people who left? Only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are there. Remaining, who are there? Why they have left? What are the components of the transport system in human beings? What are the functions of these components? So what are the components of the transport system in human beings? What are the components? Blood,
Vessels and heart.
Heart, blood vessels, and any more? So you should write the components. That is, I have told you all, know the heart, the blood vessels, and write their functions. Okay. What is necessary? Why is it necessary to separate oxygenated and deoxygenated blood in mammals and birds? Can anybody help? Here, this is the answer. The separation of right side and left side of the heart is useful to keep deoxygenated and deoxygenated blood from mixing. Such a separation allows in a high efficient supply of oxygen to the body. And this is useful in animals that have high energy needs, that is birds and the mammals, where they require constant energy to maintain their body temperature. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Please mark them. I'm just speeding off because all this we have been taught. What are the components of the transport system in a highly organized plants? What are those? Xylem and phloem. What does the xylem do?
Transport water.
Transportation of water and minerals from roots to the other plants, other parts of the plant.
Yes. And phloem?
Transportation of the product of photosynthesis to the part of the plants.
Body. How are the water and minerals transported in plants? The same thing, whatever you have told. Okay. How is food transported in plants? This one. This completely you should be writing. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So the last box, describe the structure and function of nephrons. I think so we know it. What are the methods used by the plants to get rid of the excretory products? The last slide, what I have told, and it is present in this part. How is the amount of urine produced regulated? It is present here. The amount of water reabsorbed depends upon how much excess water there is in the body and how much amount of dissolved waste that is needed to be secreted. So based on this, the amount of urine which is produced will be regulated. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Mark it. And also hormones also, but since they have not given anything about the hormones, you can also add hormones also. Next, coming to your exercise. There are 13 questions altogether. This is your assignment. Next week, I want this assignment. I'll be checking each and everything. Please send this written assignment to the WhatsApp group of the Epsilon Academy. By Wednesday. Enough time?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll also put a message in the group. So the back exercise is your assignment for the week. You need to send it by Wednesday to the WhatsApp group.
Ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, then. So with this, any doubts in your chapter, any more? You have
No
any
doubt, ma'am.
doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay, with this, we'll conclude the class. And most probably I'll talk and let you know when the exam will be there for this chapter. First complete this assignment and send it to me. So
Okay, ma'am.
we'll see what is the next chapter you people want. How do organisms reproduce, or how control and coordination? We'll start with second chapter, that is control and coordination. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Thank
ma'am.
you. See you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Careful. Don't go out of your houses. If it's
Thank you.
required, you know you have no requirements. So don't go out of the house. Be very careful. It's high, very, very, very dangerous now outside. Don't go out. Okay. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
Bye.
Thank you,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Bye.